guys, it's Cece, and I would like to talk about the top 16 books that I want to read in 2016. Yes, I'm still drinking tea. I'm gonna beat this cold. I'm gonna beat it. So going into 2016, I had a lot of reading goals for myself, and one of them was to read all 16 books on the list of my top 16 to read in 2016. So I'm going to show those to you now. These are just books that have been on my TBR for a really long time, the books that I'm most excited about. There are a couple of new releases on here. These are the books that I most want to get to this year, and I'm really going to push myself to definitely get to these 16. So let's start at the bottom with number 16, and that is Cinder by Marissa Meyer. I got this book for Christmas, and I am so excited because this is one of these series that I had to start this year. I talked about it in my top series that I wanted to start this year, and now I have it for my own. I am definitely going to start this very soon. This is your hint about January's TBR. I'm starting Cinder very soon. So I'm very excited. I definitely want to get at least to this book, and if I really love it, I will definitely be reading the other books. Possibly from the library, because I'm not allowed to buy books right now. Speaking of series that I have to start, I definitely need to start A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. I also got this book for Christmas, and it was also one of these series that I have to start going into the new year. It is just fun, and it looks fantastic, and it takes place at alternate Londons, and last year one of my favorite books was Vicious by V.E. Schwab, so I just know that I have to get to this book in the coming year. Another series that I have to get to this year is the Cormoran Strike series by Robert Galbraith, aka J.K. Rowling. Especially this first book, Cuckoos Calling. I'm definitely going to be reading that in the next few months. I'm very excited to read something by J.K. Rowling that isn't Harry Potter, and it's just taken me too long. Plus, I think it's very much part of my goals as far as extending beyond just YA reading. I'm very excited to start an adult series by an author who I already love for writing younger age books. So this is definitely a big step in my read more outside YA goal this year. This next one I am cheating on a bit because I actually want to talk about two different series that I really need to read in 2016. So the first of which is I need to reread the Percy Jackson and the Olympian series by Rick Riordan. I loved this series, but I have not read it since junior high, and I have very little memory of what actually happened in these books. But connected to this, I also really need to start the Heroes of Olympus series by Rick Riordan. Now, I know I've been told I don't need to reread Percy Jackson to get to the series, but I think that they're sort of separate goals. I just want to reread Percy Jackson in general, and it just makes it more fun to reread Percy Jackson and then to start on a new Rick Riordan series. The next book that I very much need to read this year is Blink by Ted Dekker, and let me tell you why. This book is it's been on my TBR shelf for longer than any other book. All other books have come and gone, and Blink remains. I love Ted Dekker, so I don't really know why I haven't gotten to this yet. This is definitely going to be a fast-paced thriller. It's going to have a lot of really exciting settings and crazy situations, and it's just time. This book has been on my TBR shelf for far, far too long, and I need to figure out what my deal is, and I need to get to it. The next one on my list is Far From You by Tess Sharp. I don't own this book, so it's going to take me a little bit longer to read it because I have to get through a lot of other books before I'm allowed to get this one. But the reason that it's really important for me to read this book this year is it is one of the few YA books that I've heard about where bisexuality is actually addressed. And it's just really important to me to read this book, and I don't know, I've heard some really good things about it. I know it's a thriller, but mostly the fact that there aren't a lot of bisexual books out there, and I really, really want to get to this one, and this is the one that's exciting me the most right now. Next up is Fallen Kingdoms by Morgan Rhodes. I own this book on my Kindle, and really the reason this is on here is that I have a few books on my Kindle, and I feel like I can't just leave them there forever now that I can read physical books again. I bought this book over the summer to read in London, and then I just didn't get around to reading it, so I definitely need to get to the books that are left on my Kindle. I can't just leave them there forever. And also, I've heard a lot of really great things about the Fallen Kingdom series. I know that this is a slightly less well-known fantasy series that people either really don't care for or really love in certain cases, and I feel like it needs to happen, especially with the fact that there's like new books still being released. I just need to start in on this series and find out what all the hype is about and get this checked off of the Kindle list. I also really need to read More Than This by Patrick Ness. This book has been on my TBR for a good long time, but also it sounds the most interesting of all of Patrick Ness's other books. To me, I just think it sounds so fascinating, and people on BookTube have loved this book so much. It's come out to so much high acclaim, and I desperately want to read this book. My grandmother already owns a copy. I'm definitely taking it from her, and I am reading this book this year. It's happening. It's happening. Next up on my list is Pet Sematary by Stephen King. I have read a bit of Stephen King in my life, but not a ton. I really wanted to read more, and this is the Stephen King book that Janelle owns and has come highly recommended to me, so I definitely want to read this book this year and just read a bit more Stephen King, expand my Stephen King knowledge. This is, I don't know, I've actually already seen this movie, which I don't normally do. I don't normally see the movie before I read the book, but I think that the movie has faded from my head enough, and I feel like it will still be a very different experience, so I'm definitely really excited to expand my Stephen King knowledge and get to Pet Sematary this year. Another series I would really like to start is Eon by Alison Goodman. This is a duology. I believe there's Eon and Iona, and this book is so up my alley. I need to read it. I bought it last July, I think, and I don't know why I haven't gotten to it yet. This book has everything I want. There's a female character, there's dragon magic, it's got like a girl pretending to be a boy so that she can learn magic, there's going to be adventure, it's going to be amazing, and I don't know why I haven't read this yet, because it's just got everything that I want in this world, in this book right here, so I am definitely going to read this book as soon as possible. Hopefully I will love it enough that I will be able to go out and get the second one also, because this book just looks so perfect for me. The next one that I really have to read in 2016 is a new release, and that is You Know Me Well by David Levithan and Nina LaCour. This was my most anticipated release of 2016, so of course it is on my list. I fell in love with David Levithan's writing in the last year, and I definitely am going to be reading some Nina LaCour this year. Hint, hint for the rest of these books. So this is just one of the 2016 releases that I have to buy. When it comes out, I'm going to get to it. Next, and this is sort of a generic one, I just want to read more Dean Koontz. I read Phantoms last year, and it was my first ever Dean Koontz book, and it wound up being one of my favorite books of the year. It was like my third favorite, I think. So I do own some other Dean Koontz books. I have 3 total. I have By the Light of the Moon, which sounds really interesting. I've got The Door to December, which I don't really remember what it's about because there's no summary on the back, it's just a picture of his face. But I knew what this book was about at some point, so I definitely am very interested in this one. And spoiler for a January book haul, because I did go out and buy a couple of new books just after Christmas for a Christmas sale. The last Dean Koontz book that I have is Intensity. When I have said I wanted to read Dean Koontz, a lot of people have told me that I have to read Intensity, and so when I saw this book on sale, on that sale day, I knew that I had to get it. It is a big, beautiful hardcover, and definitely getting to this in 2016. The next one that I really have to read is Of Fire and Stars by Audrey Colhurst. I talked about this book also in my anticipated releases of 2016, and it's the most excited I've been about a book like ever. Basically, this book is about a princess who gets shipped off to marry a foreign prince, and instead of falling in love with him, she falls in love with the prince's sister. So that's the best thing I've ever heard in my entire life, and I know that as soon as we get, a cover or a release date or anything, I will definitely be purchasing this book and reading it immediately. This book is just perfect for me. Next up, and this is a reread for me, and it is a very important reread for me, I think, and that is I'm going to reread the entire Twilight saga this year. So I think a lot of us have a very interesting relationship with Twilight. For me, it started in, I think, 7th grade, when I read all of them, and then before I read the 4th one, I went into that phase that some of us went into where we all really hated Twilight because it became popular. So enough time has gone by and I'm a grown-up now that it's important to me because this series was so important to me that I reread the entire Twilight saga, including the retold version that Stephanie Meyer just released this year of the gender-swapped Twilight. Janelle has all of these books. I will be reading them in the next couple of months for sure. So, yeah guys, I'm gonna be rereading Twilight. It's just time. It's gonna happen. The second to last book that I'm going to read, another spoiler for a recent haul, is Life as We Knew It by Susan Beth Pfeffer. A couple of months ago, I did a video about the books that have been on my TBR shelf on Goodreads for the longest, and this book has been on there since 2011, I think. And so I saw it on sale and I was like, you know, I should probably get on that. I should probably finally read that. So now I'm going to. It's definitely going to happen. Very, very soon. Hint, hint. And the final book that I am 100% getting to in 2016 is Everything Leads to You by Nina LaCour. This is the most excited I am about any of these books to read this year. I think that this book sounds perfect for me. I'm so excited about it. I'm going to be reading it as soon as I can get my hands on it. Again, this is another book that Janelle owns. We're swapping a lot of books this year. So I'm reading a lot of Janelle's books and she's reading a few of mine. But as soon as I get to school, I'm getting this book, I'm reading it. I am over the moon excited to read this book. I just have really high expectations. I've heard amazing things, and I have to read it. So there you go. Those are the top 16 books that I'm going to be reading in 2016. If there are books that are super high up on your TBR, let me know what they are in comments. And if you have read any of these books, let me know what you thought of them also down below in comments. And of course, thank you for watching, and I will see you in another video very soon. Bye!